As leaders, we're constantly told to invest in our people, invest in our people. The best leaders invest in their people. Liz Wiseman says, multipliers invest in their people. But how the hell do you do that? What does that mean? What kind of return should I expect from my people? Jay's going to answer that and more on today's DM. Don't go anywhere.
The key to the investor is they're not just leading a team, they're continually investing in every coaching moment, every rationalization, every meeting, every deliverable is capital deployed with the expectation of measurable improvements to the three pillars.
Leadership DM, Jay Scott's direct message to his team and clients.
Today's Leadership DM, Jay's going to be going over his latest article in his Unleashing the Multipliers series, where he's breaking down Liz Wiseman's multiplier book, providing the how behind each one of those behaviors and a direct message to us. Today, we're going to be unpacking the investor behavior. First off, who the hell am I? I'm Andrew McGuire. I'm the co-founder of Brick and Matter and the marketing experience lead for 120 VC, here to DM it like it's hot.
Hi, my name is Jay Scott. I'm the founder of 120 VC. I'm obsessed with enabling irreplaceable leaders that build unstoppable teams.
Got to have faith, the faith.
Hey guys, I'm Faith Crossman. I am 120 VC's marketing execution lead.
All right, let's jump into today's Leadership DM. Liz Wiseman talks about the investor as a leadership behavior, not an actual job title. You define it maybe slightly a little bit differently, or you evolved it through your practice with your clients and team at 120. How do you describe it?
The way that I like to think about the investor is that an investor, as a leader, is ensuring that they're delivering a return on investment. And most people are going to think I mean to the bottom line, to the company. And yes, I do mean that, but that's not where leadership starts. Leadership starts with people. And so if you unpack all of the leadership behaviors that Liz talks about in her book, The Multipliers, it starts with the talent magnet, the liberator, the challenger, the debate maker. And then in my mind, it culminates into the investor who's taking all of these behaviors, or at least matured through all of these behaviors, to focus on ensuring that every time, every bit, every moment that they're spending at work with their team is driving a return on investments.
So Jay, how does the investor connect to the talent magnet?
So with the talent magnet, the way that I like to think about that behavior is that they're looking for people, they're recruiting people, one, not because they have a job opening, but because they find somebody that has a skill and is a fit to the company mission. They're investing in belief and clarity even before people come on board. The liberator invests through coaching capability and ensuring alignment, ensuring that helping the team get the outcomes that they need. The challenger's investing by challenging the work, not the people. They're investing in protecting the team's capability and ensuring that when they do kick off work, that work will always measurably improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, or profitability, none at the expense of the others. And in that exercise of rationalizing, because the team members are coming with ideas, so they go through the cycle of putting together what we call a 1-3-1 or a challenge opportunity, where they've got to really think through, what is this change I'm proposing? How will it improve one of the three pillars, none at the expense of the other? And how does it solve problems that we think that we have as a company? And they have to do it publicly. They get coached publicly. And what we're doing is we're helping them develop through this exercise clarity of thought. We're developing future leaders, because that's what leaders do. Leaders think clearly through what it is that we need to do to improve our business, which again comes back to the three pillars, right? They rationalize it, they clearly communicate it, they set the vision, and then they go back to that talent magnet exercise. Let's put the right people on the team. Through the liberator, let's coach them to ensure that we're getting the right outcomes. But in the challenger behavior, we're rationalizing those outcomes. We're challenging the work, not the people, and making sure that nothing that is busy work gets through. And then the debate maker, their job is to facilitate discussions that surface the most optimal solutions, keeping the system efficient, aligned, and frictionless. So when those behaviors mature into the investor, the key to the investor is they're not just leading a team, they're continually investing in it. Every coaching moment, every rationalization, every meeting, every deliverable is capital deployed with the expectation of measurable improvements to the three pillars. So instead of a manager or a leader being like, oh God, I've got to coach today. No, I'm excited. That is an investment in my team, right? Oh, I've got to go to a meeting. No, you don't have to go to a meeting. Here's an investment. Here's time where we're investing in advancing our objectives together. And whether I'm bringing to that moment the liberator behavior or the talent magnet behavior or the challenger behavior, right? All of these moments are investments. So that leader, once they've matured to the investor behavior, understands that they're developing future leaders. Because if they're not developing future leaders, who's going to lead in the future? More importantly, how effective is a team with only one leader? If only one person's coming up with the ideas, setting the expectations, creating the vision. Like real life, real work, real teamwork doesn't work like that, right?
Okay, Jay. So being that the investor is the final of the 5 multipliers, how does the investor behavior or the investor connect back to the 4 multipliers that we've already spoken of?
So the investor shows up after maturing the other behaviors. They recognize that every opportunity, every interaction, every minute spent is meant to deliver a return on investment, in that all of the work that we're doing will measurably improve customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability, none at the expense of the others. And every interaction with the team is an opportunity to develop them as a leader.
So what does the transition between the current investor or the false investor of today to the real investor and what you're talking about look like?
Well, I think, that's a leadership term that's been thrown around for decades, right? Like, as a leader, my job is to invest in my team. And I think that's mostly viewed as invest in their capability, right? Get them to a point of productivity to where you can feel comfortable delegating work to them, and they'll deliver. And by the way, that's like a good leader today. But there are a lot of people in management positions who only lead up. Their door is closed. Their team needs to figure it out. The good leaders today, which we're calling the false investor, not to hurt anyone's feelings, but they've got it wrong. They're misinterpreting, I think, what Liz might have meant, or what people for decades have meant by investing in your team. It's not necessarily like sending them to training, though that could be an investment. It just depends on how it's led, right? We're going to send them to training, or we're going to coach them, we're going to work with them, but really the focus is on productivity, not leadership development. And let's face it, that's because they didn't get any leadership development from their leader. Very common saying, right? We get to a management position, we get into a leadership position because we're good at doing, and there's very few places where we can go to learn to be great leaders. Well, in my perfect world, in the world of unleashing the irreplaceable, right? People don't need to go to college to be good leaders, because their leader is investing in developing them as leaders. Now, that said, the ones that do go to the school, to like the 120 VC Execution Leadership Academy, right, that do go to learn how to be these leaders, the leaders that we're talking about, they're the ones that are going to invest in the people that didn't know about it. They're the ones that are going to invest in the people that can't necessarily afford it, right? They're the ones that are going to make them irreplaceable and unstoppable, right? They're the ones that are going to train the next generation of irreplaceable leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said it great in your article. The investor does not manage capital, they multiply it. They do not just grow teams, they create leaders that lead each other. That is the measurable return on investment and the legacy of a true multiplier.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself, Andrew.
Just, mic drop.
The investor is the one that ensures that every team member becomes irreplaceable, that every team member develops into an irreplaceable leader, that every team becomes unstoppable and the company becomes unstoppable, all because we're focused on investment in human capital, investing their focus, the focus of the human capital, in the improvement of the 3 pillars: customer satisfaction, team member satisfaction, and profitability, and nothing else. No waste, right? I'm going to invest intelligently, right? And that every rep is pushing that team closer to being unstoppable, and those team members to being irreplaceable leaders. And that's the flywheel, like every cycle, every rep.
Humans helping humans.
I mean, right?
And here's the truth most people miss. The goal is not to create independence from leadership. Every team needs a leader. But leadership is not about hierarchy. It's about value in motion. Tell me about value in motion.
Well, that sort of addresses the concept of how the leadership ball passes, right? I think in most things that I've read or heard in my career, when we talk about leadership, it's so much about the leader is developing people so they can be independent of the team. But those two things don't go together. Teamwork and independence, they don't work together, right? Autonomy has to exist with alignment, okay? Or there's a breakdown, right? Things don't work, right? People are working accidentally, autonomously against each other. And so back to the leader, a leader's goal should never be to be the only leader on the team, because really on a team, people have different roles. People have different experience. People have different expertise. And let's face it, companies don't actually operate that way. So like, I'm the CEO. Okay. So everybody's like, he's a leader. He's the top guy. Well, I have a very specific responsibility as the CEO, right? And then I've got marketing. That's you guys. You guys have that responsibility. We've got finance. Okay. We've got a CFO. They're responsible for finance. And I'm gonna make up a story. So let's say Colleen from finance comes to me and she's like, hey, you asked me for something. You asked me to go find funding for your greatest, your newest, most wonderful idea. And I found it. I found that we had allocated some funds to Andrew in marketing to do X, Y, and Z. He's been getting that cash for like 6 months. I'm not seeing a return on investment. I want to go let him know that we're going to take those funds back and we're going to reinvest them in your latest and greatest idea. And okay, I'm going to ask a couple of questions like, why aren't you seeing a return on investment? She's going to have some rationale, like, I'm not seeing these things. Now, this is all the data that I have. I'm in. I'm sold. I got led, right? So I'm the CEO, but in that moment, I was not the leader. Do you agree? Okay. And so I'm like, okay, cool. You go tell Andrew. It's not going to be me. No, I'm like, okay, let's go talk to Andrew. Let's go talk to Andrew. So then we get you on a call. And this story's made up, but we have these calls all the time, right? So I'm like, okay, Colleen, tell Andrew what you told me. So then Colleen's like, okay, bro, we invested this money in this, right? And in this challenge opportunity, we were going to see X, Y, and Z. I'm not seeing it, right? This has nothing to do with you or whatever, but we're going to reallocate these funds to this thing over here. And you're like, hold on, I hear you. Those things you just said are true. Those things are not happening. But what I've maybe failed to communicate is that these things are happening. And because of these things, I feel like it's worthwhile to continue to invest these funds. And me and Colleen are like, huh, okay. And then I ask a couple of questions and she asks a couple of questions. Then we kind of look at each other and we're like, yeah, we got to keep giving him the money, right? Who was the leader? Andrew, right. And ultimately, I'm the leader, but what my job really is for the company, to see what's next so we can all make what's new. I set the vision, I set the direction. That's my job. That's my number one responsibility. My second responsibility is to make sure that everybody's functioning well as a team, which I did in this scenario. Okay, but I was more managing that than I was leading it, because the vision in this scenario was first set by Colleen and then set by Andrew. So us really to build an unstoppable team, the leadership ball must pass. So therefore, if the person in the manager seat, in the official leader seat, isn't developing future leaders, that team will never be unstoppable. Because if that one person is the only one seeing where things need to be improved, bringing ideas to light, well, first of all, you're not fully realizing that team's potential. We didn't just hire their hands. In order to be an unstoppable team, we need to engage their minds. And that's where I think that's what Liz's book is all about. And that's why she's illustrating all of the behaviors from talent magnet to the liberator to the challenger to the debate maker, all to mature into the investor that understands what I just described. And that's that if we're only developing people to capability, we're falling down. We're letting the company down. We're letting those team members down.
So the call to action of the article is stop managing effort, start investing for return. You just mentioned having a tool set to do that. What is your go-to tool that you use with your teams and clients?
So there's no one go-to tool, but let's start with,
it's a toolbox, people. It's a toolbox.
Let's listen, like, to honor Liz, right? Like, the reason we wrote this is because the book that she wrote was amazing, like, wonderful. no other book really needed to be written. People just couldn't figure out how to operationalize it. And so as we go through the different behaviors, we give a how-to for each of the behaviors, and all of the behaviors, right, need to culminate in the maturity of the investor to do these things. So there's not one tool, just like there's not one behavior, but I think the better question is more, what might be the first tool? What tool might be the easiest for somebody looking to dip their toe into the multiplier universe? And I think this particular article, the investor article, suggests that they just stop and get real. So if you're listening to this and you're responsible for a team, I want you to, in private, think about what you have going. Where are your big bets? What are you responsible for? Then ask yourself this question. Is there one in there where you're not exactly sure why you're delivering it? I mean, the business told you to do it. You were told by somebody more powerful than you to deliver this big bet, but your team's a little like, we're doing it. We have to do it, but we're not really sure where we're doing it.
Right.
Now, you're going to panic because I just asked you to admit something you have been unwilling to admit to yourself before. So you're cool. You're safe. Nobody knows it yet. But once you admit it, that you've got a big bet and you and your team are really not sure why, now go to your team and ask them, hey, share first. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not really sure why we're working on this. I'm sure there's a good reason, right? Don't start a mutiny. I'm sure there's a good reason, but I think for us to be successful, I need to go ask more questions. We should probably find out why we're doing this. How does it measurably improve the 3 logical outcomes for a business? How does it measurably improve customer satisfaction, team satisfaction, or profitability? But unless you, like, maybe I'm missing something. Do if you know, here's what's going to happen. They're going to confirm what you feel. Nope, we're not really sure why we're doing this. Okay. And so you're going to go and get curious. You're going to ask reasons. You're going to operate under the assumption there is a reason. And that reason ties to the improvement of 1, if not 2, if not all 3 of the 3 pillars. And you're going to go and you're going to get that clarity. And once you have that clarity, you will deliver a 1/4-inch drill bit. You'll deliver whatever that thing is that they asked for, but this time it will deliver the outcomes that measurably improves the 3 pillars that your business so desperately needs. And now you've taken one step just by getting curious, right? Examining the why toward becoming an irreplaceable leader and building an unstoppable team. That's what the investor does.
Okay, let's recap the investor. The investor uses each multiplier behavior as an investment vehicle. Talent magnet, investing in belief and clarity. Hire aligned believers, not warm bodies. Liberator, investing in capital. Coaching turns experience into confidence and speed. Challenger is investing in leadership development, forcing clarity and value reconciliation so work earns the right to exist. Debate maker, protecting those investments by turning opinions into optimal solutions and keeping the system aligned and efficient. So be an investor, stop managing effort, and start investing for a return. Thanks for joining us today for the Leadership DM. If you liked this series, you're in luck. A new DM drops every Thursday, so smash that subscribe button and follow this for direct leadership messages from Jay and the team at 120 VC, so you continue to get the practices and proven frameworks we use at 120 VC to build unstoppable teams. Until next time, Zoom high five.